Hi everyone, I hope you are having a wonderful day or night or evening. Whenever you are listening to this podcast, thank you very much for tuning in to the very first episode of Light Convos with me, Janet Lulonde. I want to start this podcast with a quote. Family isn't defined only by last names or blood. It is defined by commitment and by love. It means showing up when they need it most. It means choosing to love each other even in those days when you struggle to even like each other. I have decided to start with this topic being the very first episode because it is very dear to me. Being brought up in a blended family, we have had our highs and lows. I once heard that when you have enough content for 100 podcast shows, you can start a podcast. I felt I had ideas deep down. I felt everything I have experienced, I could turn it into an idea. I have very many topics in my head that I'll be sharing in this podcast. Actually, I wanted to start this podcast, guess in 2019? It's 2019. But I kept postponing. But I feel the time is now. I don't have to wait for those big equipments, big microphones and all that. I know someday I'll have them, but the time is now. I'm taking this first step, then the next will follow. But where do I begin? I want to let you know that this podcast is being developed to help others. My story cannot be the same as yours, but it might have some similarities. For instance, I've been raised up in a blended family because I lost my mom. Another person is in a blended family because their parents divorced. We can also have people who have children before marriage and end up settling with partners who are not their biological parents of their children. You see? And that's how we end up being in blended families. I want this podcast to help others. I might touch on topics that someone can relate. There are good times, but there are struggles too. It's not that easy. Personally, I do like listening to different topics online. I find it very therapeutic, especially if the topic is about something I can relate. It helps me pick some few lessons. So I really hope you can pick some few lessons too in the next episodes. Beginning a blended family is very, very challenging. I just want it to be real, most especially in scenarios where you get the children are already teenagers or adults, compared to when you get the children are pretty young. This is based from the discussions I've had with my friends who have had similar experiences, friends who are in blended families. This is because the adults have their own way of doing things. They have been raised in a certain manner. But the young ones, let's say below the age of 9, they can easily adapt. But when you hopefully get to blend, the rewards are amazing and worth everything. I have watched and listened to most of blended families that are a big success. As much as a lot of work is needed, there are very many success stories from blended families. Some can actually fit in that you cannot feel you're a blended family. You just feel your family, and that's all that matters because that is who you are, family. Today's podcast isn't going to be super long, even though I do not intend to do long shows because mostly it's going to be a solo podcast. But in the other episodes, I'll be bringing in guests so that we can have conversations and touch on different topics. The next episode, I'm going to expand more on how I feel, what you can do to make your relationship with your blended family members work. I look forward to talking and connecting with everybody. Thanks a lot for listening. Till next time. Bye bye.